Hey everybody, so in this video we are going to tackle the question of, can the Habs beat the Penguins in the qualifying round? We're going to look at the pros and the cons, not of if they win, how does it benefit, all that stuff. That's not what I'm looking at. The pros for the Habs, what they have in the ability to beat the Penguins, and the cons against them being able to do so. First up is the pros. That's what's on the board. We're going to look at 12 things that I think are in the Habs' favor, and then we'll look at 12 things that I think aren't in the Habs' favor, or the possibility of these things happening. First off, it's a short series. Oh, by the way, I did a video, I guess like a week ago or something, and it was about basically breaking down on paper the Habs' chances. So it was breaking down the matchup on 5 different aspects of the game. This is a little different. I think it's a little different, and yeah, we're going to check it out. So it's the short series, best of 5. That's in their favor. If it's a best of 7, those 2 extra games, or let me say it this way: when you're winning a playoff series, a lot of times the hardest game to win is that 4th game. Okay, so you could be 3-0, and then you see a lot of series go like that, 3-0, and then it's 3-1, then they win 4-1, or it goes, maybe the other team wins. But that 4th game is the hardest game to nail down. So in a best-of-5 series, you could say, well, then the 3rd game is. But it doesn't really work that way. The shorter the series, obviously, the easier it is for one player, or especially a goalie, to get hot and steal a series. So short series is going to be, I think, in the Habs' favor. I would have liked it, as far as in their favor, to be a best of 3, but a best of 5 still is a bit of an advantage, I think, for Montreal. Habs were a better road team, and they were. Now, they had the 3rd best road power play. They had a really good power play early in the season, and it kind of dwindled. But on the road, their power play was actually working. The problem was it wasn't working at home, and that's why their numbers went down. So that, I don't know how much of an effect this is, and for this reason. They're not at home, but there's no fans in the stands where they are. So I don't know how much of an effect being on the road and away from home is going to make. The only advantage for whatever they're considering as the home team for the game is line changes, right? You get the last change, which is an advantage. I don't know what other advantages being the home team is going to have when there's no fans in the stands. So, but on the road, Montreal plays a lot better. They did all season. Power play right up there. They have a rested and healthy offense. Now for this, I mean, you look at their first 20 games of the season before everyone got hurt. At the game 19, I think everyone got, well, Drouin and Byron got hurt, and their play went downhill. It wasn't right away, but their offense waned right at that point. But if they can get their offense back to the way it was in the first 20 games, their offense was rocking. So this could, I mean, they're going to need it to beat Pittsburgh. They're going to need that offense, but that could work for them, right? And they're healthy now. They're rested and they're healthy, and I think it could be an advantage for them. Penguins defense, are they clicking? And what happens if Letang happens to get hurt? So the Pens defense is made up of a rookie. I think John Marino is a rookie. He's a young kid. Going to be a great player, I think, but he's young. You got Jack Johnson, Eric Goodbranson. So far, not great. Marcus Pettersson. I don't know a lot about Marcus Pettersson, but his numbers aren't big. You got Brian Dumoulin, who's a good defenseman. I think he was hurt during the season, so I don't know how he's affected by that. And Justin Schultz, who he doesn't have big numbers, but I imagine he's a big guy, tough guy, that kind of thing. His name sounds like it for me, too. I don't know why. So that's their defense. Their defense is going to need to be clicking. If Montreal's offense is working, well, Pittsburgh's defense is really going to need to be working. And Chris Letang is kind of injury prone. So, you know, he could get injured. I'm just saying that could work for, I mean, if Letang gets injured and he's not there, it's going to be a huge blow for Pittsburgh. But got to look at Pittsburgh had injuries all season, and they managed to work through them because they've got depth. So it could work out like that too. Is Alex Romanov, is he going to be able to play? The decision is apparently going to come down July 1st about the players in Romanov's position. And I think what's the sticking point is there's no start date on his contract that he signed because they didn't know what was going to be, and they didn't want to burn a year of his ELC if they didn't have to. And I think considering the situation, it's a special situation. I think the teams should get benefit of the doubt for that and let these players there's a few players like this in Romanov's position, they should let them play. I think, anyways. Now, whether that's because I'm a Habs fan and I'm biased, could be, but I think Romanov should be allowed to play. The decision should come down July 1st. Shea Weber. Shea Weber rested and healthy. That means not that he played bad when he hurt his ankle, but his ankle should be better. I haven't heard anything, honestly. I haven't heard much about his health. I don't know if that's because they don't want people to know, or because he's not 100% yet, or he is. I don't know. But his ankle should be a lot better after all this time. And rested and healthy, Shea Weber, as long as he doesn't have to come in and have a slow start, is a big boost as far as on the defense, right? Next up, spin around, go to the other side. Geoff Petrie. For him, I wrote rested and mentally strong. What do I mean by that? I found as the season was going along, Geoff Petrie, playing a lot of minutes, was making bad decisions with the puck. So either just, if he was just ringing it around from behind the net, right around the boards, it ended up going to an opposition player. I just thought he made a lot of those kind of quick decisions with the puck, and a lot of them weren't good. And I think by being rested, mentally strong, because back to like the beginning of the season, not overworked yet, obviously, I think that's going to make him make better decisions, and that's going to be a bonus for Montreal. A lot of these are defense. Look at that. Ben Sherratt. Ben Sherratt. If he continues that stellar play of his, because let's face it, we didn't know what kind of play Sherratt was going to give us when he got here. Sherratt took a little time to fit in, to feel comfortable. Well, he's comfortable here in Montreal. We also know that Sherratt can score a goal when needed. He can be involved in the rush, as well as doing the job on defense and being part of Montreal's big three of Weber, Petrie, and now Sherratt. And since we don't have, look, even if Alex Romanov comes in, he's not going to be playing with Weber. He'll be playing on the third line, especially if Victor Mete is not able to play. Romanov's going to be playing on the third line, I would think. Maybe second, but I don't think he's not on the first. Anyway, so Sherratt's going to be a very big part of the pros about whether Montreal has a chance or not to beat Pittsburgh. Paul Byron. Paul Byron could be a big part. Paul Byron at the beginning of the season, don't want that Paul Byron ever. But once he came back, what a difference. It was two different players. You know, you got a Paul Byron nobody's used to seeing, who can't do anything, not confident, not skating. And then you get the Paul Byron maybe even looking better than we've ever seen him in those last few games that he played in the season. And if that guy shows up, he's going to make up for a big problem that's going to come up, and we'll have that in the cons, is a possibility of Max Domi not being able to play. We'll talk about that when we get to the con side of this. Nick Suzuki. Nick Suzuki. Yeah, he's a rookie. But Nick Suzuki in the OHL playoffs last year stepped it up. So, yeah, he was playing with junior players. Get that? It's not NHL. But doesn't matter. He has the ability that when the games get more important, that he can step it up. Will he do it in his rookie season? I don't know. But if he does, it's going to be something. And look, I think he'll step up somewhat. I expect improved play even from Nick Suzuki. I mean, he's got only up to go. And I think we're going to see a better Nick Suzuki. To what extent, I don't know. But I don't expect to see a worse Nick Suzuki if play starts up. Or when, even if it's not for this, if it's next season. I expect Nick Suzuki to look even better. Next up, the first #1 line of Thomas Tatar, Phil Deneau, and Brendan Gallagher. That's our #1 line when they're all together, rested, and healthy, which is what should be, right? They can play both games, right? They can produce offense because, look, Tatar's our leading scorer. Gallagher, most times, maybe because of the injury, he's not the leading goal scorer, obviously. But, I mean, you got Tatar with the points, Gallagher with the goals, Deneau with everything else, and he can score too. And you've got a #1 line that can produce the offense that's needed. I mean, maybe not a typical #1 line, but they can produce offense. But the main thing also, they can shut down that other line that they're facing. They can shut down the other team's #1 line, #2 line. They can just shut down. So if they're playing at their game, that's a big, big pro for Montreal's chances. And finally, the biggest pro I think that could play a big part in this is Carey Price. Carey Price can steal games. It's possible. He can steal games, potentially, right? I know he's getting older. It's not the 2014-15 season, but Carey Price can steal games. This might be his last opportunity to win a Stanley Cup with Montreal. Don't know. He's 32. If he and listen, there, it's going to be in the next video. It might come out. That video might come out before this. But I mean, who knows when you're going to watch this as opposed to the other one? But my news of the day video for today is going to have a thing about, now it's Don Cherry. Okay, maybe some of you don't like Don Cherry, but whatever you think of him, he still knows his hockey. That I still think. And he had put out something about how Boston's got to be very careful, and they should be afraid about what Carey Price could do. That'll be in the news of the day video. I'm going to talk about it. But Carey Price could be the biggest difference here for Montreal and their chances to beat Pittsburgh. I think that's without a doubt. So I'm going to stop here for a sec. I'm going to put the cons on the board, and we're going to look at that. All right, back with the cons. So let's get right into it. Inexperience. Most of this team has not played in the playoffs. They're a young team in general. There's a few veterans, and they've had experience in the playoffs, yes. But a lot of the young guys just don't have the experience. That could be a problem. Max Domi. Will Max Domi play? This is the big question. And if he doesn't, it's a big problem. And I don't really see how he will play, because with his diabetes, he's more susceptible to maybe not getting the virus, but what the virus can do to the body. So it's not really worth the chance for him to get out there and play, I don't think, because even if he gets it and he recovers and he doesn't, I won't say he's not that sick, but if he gets it and recovers, it still doesn't mean that he won't be more affected in his lungs and all that. So I don't think he's going to play. Now, Marc Bergevin has said that unless the medical staff can can assure them that it's 100% safe, which it can be, or that it's safe enough, Max Domi won't play. I'm saying Max Domi won't play. That's going to be a problem. So now, if not, who replaces him at center? It's not, we were really bad at down the middle for many years. Last season, that changed. We had a lot more options, or we could say the season before when Kokoniemi's rookie season. But it changed. Now the options are bigger, but they're still not all in fruition, and all those options and prospects are not all up in the big league. If Domi's not there, that creates a hole in third line, because he was playing third line center when everything stopped. How do we replace him? We don't really have a replacement, and this is what's going to be the biggest problem in my mind for Montreal is Max Domi's situation, and what do you do at center? And it goes into the next one. It's not trad. Okay, I'm going to do like hockey. I got to fix it, and I don't know what I did with my pen. Here it is. Trade deadline deals. Trade deadline deals. They didn't think they were making the playoffs. They traded Nate Thompson, they traded Kovalchuk, they traded Scandella, and they traded Nick Cousins. And that's going to leave them short, especially with a guy like Max Domi missing. So this is it weakens the roster and gives them less options of who to play, and anybody that they're going to bring in is not going to be as experienced as any of the guys that they dealt away, thinking that they are not making the playoffs. So that's going to be a problem. Number 5, will be playing top-seeded team in every round. There's no home ice advantage. They will be playing as the lowest seeded team. They are the lowest seeded team. Every round, it's not brackets. They decided there's no brackets. If it were brackets, they have a better chance, and this is why. Because without the brackets, every round it's reseeded. Montreal being the lowest team going into the playoffs, there's at no point that there's any team that they're going to play that they have an advantage on. They're always going to be the team without the home ice advantage. What the home ice advantage is going to give exactly, I don't know. But they're going to be playing what should be the best team in that round every time. Right? So whoever is the top team for that round, Montreal is going to be playing them if they keep advancing. So if Montreal wins the cup, they're going to have had the hardest road to the cup. Number 6, I could have put them in different order, but Malkin, Crosby, and Chris Letang. Malkin and Crosby, we know what they can do. If they're on their game and they're playing and they're healthy and everything's good, I mean, it's killer offense. And then you add Chris Letang in there, who's a Montrealer and is a kind of a Montreal killer. He likes to put up points against Montreal, usually plays well against Montreal, and if he's 100% healthy and playing well, those three could be a lethal combination. And, yeah, it's a problem. Next up, number 7. We hit on it in the pros. If Alex Romanov can play, well, if Alex Romanov won't be allowed to play, and with Victor Mete right now unknown, so we don't know. Hopefully by that time he'll be ready. But if that's the case and Mete's out also, you know, you'd like to see Romanov in. I believe he's capable enough to come in and start and play well enough on third pairing to not be a problem and actually be a benefit. But if he doesn't, if they don't allow him to play, decision coming up July 1st, that could be a problem. Number 8, Nick Suzuki is a rookie. How will he respond? So I said in the pros, Nick Suzuki usually in the playoffs has stepped up, but it's the NHL this time. We don't know what's going to happen. He's still a rookie. He could have a horrible response to it. There's some players that are great players, and they don't play well in the playoffs in the NHL. They didn't do that their whole career coming up, but in the NHL, something. So we don't know. It's an unknown. That could be a con. Number 9, everybody's favorite subject, Claude Julien. And I don't have a problem with Julien, but my question for him is he flustered over all the fire Julien talk? There's a lot of talk. There has been, not lately, but so much, but as I'm sure things start to heat up that they're going to play, this talk about firing Julien and that he's no good and he's not the right coach and all that is going to come back, and how is that going to affect him? Is it going to affect him at all? I don't know. Could be a problem. Number 10, Carey Price, who could be the biggest reason for Montreal winning. Carey Price could also be a problem. Sometimes he starts slow in the season when the season starts. It's not the start of the season, but they've had a few months off. And, you know, that could be where he starts slow. If that happens, it's going to be a problem. It's a short series, especially on top of that, where he can't really even have one game that he's not on top of his game. You know, game 1, if they lose, because he wasn't playing well, there might not be enough time to come back. Seriously. So Carey Price could be a problem if he's not 100% on his game. And Carey Price, as we all know, could get hurt. Could happen at any time. Knock wood, it doesn't. But it could happen. Okay, so Cayden Primo becomes, because I think if Carey Price gets hurt and you want the best option at backup, even though he's got no experience, I still think it's Cayden Primo. I don't think Charlie Lindgren's the answer, and I don't think in a playoffs like this or a play-in it's going to be any better. And I don't think there's anybody down on the farm yet or anybody else in the organization that's going to be any better than Cayden Primo. So if Price gets hurt, can Primo be ready? Will he be ready in that important of a game? And that makes a difference. So, you know, he's just being thrown into the fire with only 2 games under his belt in the NHL. You know, listen, Habs goalies have done it. Ken Dryden, 6 games, the last 6 games of the season, then he won the Conn Smythe and the Stanley Cup. Not even a rookie. So it could happen, but that's a question. And last but not least, injuries. So if the Canadiens have any injuries, we already know the depth isn't any good, because if we had the depth, we would be like Pittsburgh, who had all those injuries but managed to still win. Montreal did not manage to do that. So we already know if there's injuries, yes, we have players, but they're inexperienced or maybe just not good enough at all at this point, especially, and we don't have the ability to replace probably anybody if there's an injury, really, and be confident that the replacement's going to do the job. That's how I see it. So that's a really big issue. So what does it come down to? Did the pros and cons answer the question of can Montreal beat Pittsburgh? I don't think any more so than we did with the checking out the matchup. I still think Montreal can. They have to have certain things fall into place, but it's very possible. And if those things do fall into place, Montreal can beat Pittsburgh and go on. How far they'll go, I don't know. Because when you're talking about beating the best team in each round, that's what you have to do. It's a big lot. Now, St. Louis kind of did that last season, I guess. And it can be done. especially when more than likely Montreal will have to play Boston if they beat Pittsburgh. It's more than likely. It's not assured, but it's more than likely. If I were Boston and Montreal beats Pittsburgh and Carey Price is on his game, I'd be very worried if I were Boston. And we're gonna kind of get into that in the News of the Day video, which I'm gonna film next. You might see it before this video, but I'm gonna kind of talk about that. With Don Cherry came out with something that made a lot of sense. And yeah, if Carey Price is on his game and they beat Pittsburgh, Boston, or basically anybody, but Boston in particular, because Montreal mostly has Boston's number in the playoffs. And listen, I think Boston beat Montreal the last 3 times in the playoffs, or 3 out of the last 4, something like that, which means Montreal's kind of due. It's kind of how it works. And yeah, so we're going to touch on that in the next video. So that's it. What do you think? What do you think? You think Montreal's pros outweigh the cons, or the cons outweigh the pros? I still think it's kind of, there's too many factors that are open that need to happen on either one that could throw it off or make it happen. So I'm still kind of, I don't know. I do think Pittsburgh will win. I do, but I do definitely think Montreal could just as easily win. So there you go. That's what I came to. That's the conclusion I came to. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. While you're down there, please leave any comments about what I just said here, pros, cons, whatever, in that comment section. Let me know where I was wrong, or what you think the right thing should be, or if you agree, or whatever, in the comment section. And if you haven't subscribed already, while you're down there doing that, subscribe and ring the notifications bell. That's going to get you your daily fix of Blue, Blanc, Rouge right here at Talkin' Habs. So there you go. That's the video. Hope you liked it, and see you next time. Thanks for watching. Please keep safe out there. That's with the COVID stuff, wear a mask, all that kind of stuff that you should really do. And if you're anywhere where there's protests, if they happen to go wrong, please stay safe. And definitely I'm for the protesting, just nonviolent and peaceful, which most of it is. But stay safe, because the other side isn't being peaceful. And that's all I got to say about that. But yeah, everybody stay safe. See you next video. Thanks for watching. Peace out, y'all.